Spoiler warning! I'll be talking about the 6th episode of blackrockshooterdawnfall in this video, and if you haven't seen the episode yet, then I suggest you watch it first and then come back here. Okay? Okay. This episode was just action-packed. We have characters facing one another, the epic opening playing as the action was going on. This was a very fun episode. It starts with Mia waking up and just frightened from seeing all of the dead bodies around her, as Smiley then says that she has passed the test and is compatible for him. He says that after the Hemitheus unit transformation is complete, she would bear his child. One thing, gross. Second, it seems as girls who are compatible are turned into somewhat a Hemitheus unit, or at least something similar to them. After all of that, we see Empress and the others still making their way as Vault states that they detect a signal and it was Strength. As they hurried along, Strength and Naruto board the enemy vessel and we just cut to all of them getting wrecked. Once they were getting closer, Deadmaster comes close to her and tells her not to do anything reckless since she doesn't want her dying. Empress then replies by saying she won't die since she'll be protecting her. And here we just see the trust she has for Deadmaster. Despite episodes ago, she tried to kill her on multiple occasions. And as she was heading for a safe place to take aim, she was just daydreaming on how she's her precious little angel. And that was pretty cute, not gonna lie. We have a short banter between Monica and David as she complains on how everything was just dangerous and all of that. blackrockshooter simply tries to eliminate the anti-tank units since they were more of a threat. As she was driving, one of the enemy units behind her was destroyed as Deadmaster was the one who shot it, protecting her precious little angel. In which again, this can really show how much they trust each other considering a few episodes ago they were fighting one another. David and Monica then have another banter once again where she asks whether the Peacekeeping Corps were always this disorganized, and if so, they've done well to survive for this long. David then responds that they're not always like this. We then go to Strength and Naruto's side of things where she tells him to hurry up since a bunch of perverts live here. Naruto replies not to say that for that concerns him even more for his sister. While the chaos was unfolding, we see Smiley and Charlotte overlooking the battle as he evolves or something as we go back to Strength and Naruto as they stumble upon a pile of dead girls. Strength is just brave to just stare at this and just keep a calm reaction. She wasn't even fazed, she was just pissed at the educational institution even more. Naruto freaks out, but she snaps him out of it, telling him to find his sister. If she's there, they'll leave at once. But Strength then realizes that what has happened here really pissed her. She gives her own idea as to how she's feeling over the situation, as that really made her to decide to beat whoever is in charge of this. And we then see Lunatic simply waiting for Smiley, saying everything is completed. Now before I continue, Lunatic is a different character to Artemis, and I mistakenly thought the two characters are the same. And yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. She's mad that Smiley isn't there and that causes her to flick Mia's forehead, which causes it to bleed. We then go back to the group who was still infiltrating the carrier and it was just pure chaos. Charlotte then arrives at the scene and specifically targets Deadmaster while Smiley was targeting Empress. The moment he came out, blackrockshooter was just mad immediately. Charlotte, who is now chasing Deadmaster, jokes on how she should stop moving since it'll be more difficult to kill her if she does. She responds by saying look who's got a sense of humor as she releases smoke covering her sight. Charlotte notices and flies upwards as Deadmaster's blades were heading towards her. She simply flips out of her aircraft and shoots them while in midair and goes back to her aircraft. Even Deadmaster commends her for her skill. Smiley was then talking to blackrockshooter, saying what they're doing is wrong, but Empress seems to differ. As the two faced each other, we then go back to Strength and Naruto as they encounter Lunatic. She casually says hi to Strength as if they've met before, and met they have. It seems Lunatic was the one responsible for that scene with Strength and Deadmaster being crucified, and it seems she modified Strength's body, in which I believe is where her violent side came from, since her gentle and terrified self was the one yelling and not the violent one. in which I believe that's the case. After Strength's interesting comments, I love the way she says, "Wow." And after hearing all of that, she equips her battle gear, as she then tells Strength to go easy on her. And it's been 11 minutes in and I was so shocked to see there hasn't been an opening on this episode. But then the next few seconds happened and I was just so happy to hear it playing during this moment. Blackrockshooter and Smiley were battling it out. As it turns out, Smiley is very much close to Empress and the others, while his children would be even closer to perfection. And for that, he wants Mia as his wife, as he then yells out that this was the payoff for all those sacrifices. We just see Blackrockshooter just mad as she thought of the girls that died during on episode 3, and that she wouldn't allow something monstrous as that. We then go back to Strength as she was commenting on how much of a monster Lunatic really is. She simply states that there are no monsters here, but she is an incarnation of Artemis herself. Their origins are somewhat similar, but they just wouldn't be incompatible, as she explained herself. Strength simply rushes in and fires with all of her fingers, but she was able to block them all, and even made lobster claws to somewhat mimic Strength's weaponry, and simply says the same lines she yelled out before firing. While that was happening, Charlotte was still chasing right after Dead Master. After getting a good spot, she aimed at her midair and opened fires, which causes Charlotte to crash into an area while she simply poses gorgeously. Smiley then evolves yet again to his final form, which is just him turning into an oversized Smurf, and he plunges himself towards Empress, punching her multiple times. She fires at him only for it to be of no effect until she aimed at his nuts. He backs away and opened fires, in which a few bullets manage to land on Black Trike, which it then says that it's received some severe damage, while Smiley also ran out of ammo and decides to throw his ally at her, and that pisses her off even more. Volt then volunteers to help out Empress as David tells him to not do anything reckless, but as he was on his way to help Blackrockshooter, one of the soldiers on the turret was shot and he uttered the word anything reckless. Strength was really getting in trouble here. It just proves to show how powerful of an opponent Lunatic is, as she has her head in her lobster hands. I also love the way she smirks here, it's kinda cute. While we go back to Empress being held by Smiley's arms and now trapped and unsure of what to do, Volt enters the scene and commits suicide as he yells out that he entrusts the future to Colonel David. It frees her from Smiley's grip, but at the cost of his life, and that saddened our main protagonist. Rest in peace, my dude. And finally, that gave her an opportunity as Smiley is finally dead. I never really liked him anyway, so good riddance. She destroys the wheels, and while that was happening, Lunatic lets go of Strength, saying that it'd be bad if they get Charlotte. She tells them where Mia is, and for compensation to that, she would fight her next time. Norito reunites with Mia, and we then move to Strength telling everyone about what she learns when battling Lunatic. Now this here was really interesting as well. It seems Charlotte would be the key to something, and that itself will play a huge role as we move forward with the story. And as soon as Blackrockshooter learns of Lunatic's name, she simply repeats it as that would be the next target on her list. The characters then say goodbyes to each other as Norito and Mia would part ways with the others here, as the trio is now complete. They can now focus on beating the orbital elevator together. David asks Monica whether she was still willing to go with them on their journey, and she simply agrees since she's already there. And the two talk about the Concorde plane, where, correct me if I'm wrong, the United Kingdom and France had a joint venture to make the best aircraft at the time. And I love how she takes that example and uses it for how Blackrockshooter and the Hemitheus unit were made for. But the Colonel simply says that at least they're not really as elegant as passenger planes. But as Strength asks Empress on where they're going next, she simply responded to their home, to the lighthouse number 8. And since Black Trike needs 6 hours to fully complete its repairs, I feel like the next episode will be just that. Them discovering about their home, what happened, why did everything come to be this way, and many more. I'm pretty excited for that, to be honest. And that's where the episode ends. It was really cool hearing the full opening play out as the battle was going on. Smiley is dead finally, Dead Master is so gorgeous as always, Strength has joined the team, and Empress is now targeting Lunatic next. I also said it in the last review, but she has been really showing more emotions. More actual emotions, reactions, and that is really great. Her character from starting out emotionless to now, who was slowly getting all of these emotions built up from her journey. She feels sad whenever someone dies. She feels mad whenever someone does something bad. She feels concerned when someone is hurt. Like, they're really handling her character really well, at least for me. If I were to rate this episode, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It's a great episode for me. The battle sequences were fun, we get to see brief scenes of Lunatic in battle, and that was a little bit disappointing when we get to see Rarely on how she fights. Maybe we'll see more in the final battle, we don't know. But yeah, overall I'm excited for the next episode, and that's all for today, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. See ya!
Wow!